I remember multiple issues when I was little. And now at this age, I'm like, gosh, I've got all these things. If only I could have prevented it, or had a better understanding of how the body, mind, and spirit work in unison, then maybe some of these things wouldn't have progressed to where they are now. So I went and did all these other modalities and I absolutely loved them. And I thought, how am I going to do this? So I left my beautiful job and I thought I'll start practicing from home, helping children from home, because that's what I've always done. I don't want to say remove. I don't want to remove things from people's lives, but I think we need to swap things over. Just because you go, I need to be healthy, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, bang, we just stop doing everything that we're doing, because it's not sustainable. We need to just start making small, incremental steps towards a healthier lifestyle. And it's not just nutrition. When we're coming to emotional regulation and understanding our belief systems and our values and how they play into who we identify as, how we promote that to our children. We lead by example. They are following everything that we do at all times. Also, children are so intelligent and they're much closer to tuning into their subconscious than what we are. And if we give them those little tools, that's amazing. How are we going to implement that?
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's conversation. You may have been watching the podcast videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have ever gained value from our videos, from our conversations, it would mean so much to us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now, or even just give us a like. And what that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it allows us to bring in more important guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's conversation. Welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing. My name's Sophia from Sacred You, of course, but with me today is, and most importantly, is the beautiful Rose Irranca. Rose, thank you so very much for joining us. I'm really excited because we're talking about a topic that is so dear to me because I think it's so important in today's world, and that's holistic health for children and healthcare. Like I said, welcome. Can we start, Rose, just first of all, can we get to know a little bit about you and how did you come into this whole area of caring for children and helping others to care for children in a holistic way?
I started my profession as a social worker, and I was working in the education industry for about 20 years, around about. So I worked in the private school settings, I worked in junior primary and high school, and then I went on to university where I taught social workers how to work with children in schools. So I went from one end of the spectrum to the other. And within that time, I was also developing holistically. I was really getting into self-awareness and who I am and where I fit into the universe. And I have health issues as well, which have started from when I was very young. I remember multiple issues when I was little. And now at this age, I'm like, gosh, I've got all these things. If only I could have prevented it, or had a better understanding of how the body, mind, and spirit work in unison, then maybe some of these things wouldn't have progressed to where they are now. So within my time, I went on to do further studies. So I'm a Reiki practitioner, NLP, hypnotherapist, Reiki kids yoga instructor. So I went and did all these other modalities and I absolutely loved them. And I thought, how am I going to do this? So I left my beautiful job and I thought I'll start practicing from home, helping children from home, because that's what I've always done. And then I thought, this is a bit, how do I promote to parents that I'm going to be teaching your child about chakras and the energy system and the subconscious mind. Like, how do you go about promoting that? So at the beginning, I found it a bit, oh, how do I find my tribe? Word of mouth. That's how it happens. It's word of mouth. And slowly you start getting there and people start recommending you and you start building your practice. So that was a lot of fun. But I thought, I'm doing one-on-one. And this is good, but how can we get to more children? How can we get to more families? So then I started doing group work, which was a blast. That was so much fun. I worked with 8 to 12-year-olds, and we did a course on confident kids. And my business was called Coaching Confident Kids. And we did an 8-week program, and from week to week, just seeing the development and the fun and then the enthusiasm and kids coming and going, I stopped biting my nails and I didn't even think about it, because we're learning about creating new habits. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And then I thought, we need to get out to more, like, who else is out here doing the things that I'm doing? And once again, it's word of mouth. You really need to search for it. And that's where the idea stemmed. I thought, why are we so hidden? Let's bring us to the forefront here. And holistic health is looked at as the alternative therapy. I thought it was the original at one point. So how do we get back to this mindset of going, let's look at this first before we start introducing other things into it? That's where the idea stemmed, and that was quite a few years ago. And then a year ago, I thought, I'm really going to go for it and put my energy to it. And now we are at the end stages of that, where I've developed the Holistic Kids platform, because what we need to do is now bring providers and invite holistic providers onto the platform to join us and be a part of this community. There's so much on there. So there's 3 focus points that we have. One is listing, inviting people who we resonate with and going, you offer a service that is in alignment with us. Then it's networking. I really feel that we need to know where we are and who we are and what we do so that we can thrive together. We want to help each other rise and be as accessible as possible. So the networking is going to be, for example, we're going to hop on a webinar and we're going to meet with all holistic providers who are in the northeastern region of Adelaide, as an example. Or the next time we might say, we're going to get all homeopaths across Australia to hop on, and we're going to chat and see what you're doing and inspire one another and see what else we can be introducing into our practice. And then the final one is our webinar series. So we want to offer that to families, and what we'll be doing is using the providers who are with us and coming together to inform families about what is on offer. For example, children who are bedwetting 12 years and above. Why is that happening? So we can get different providers on. We can get a hypnotherapist, a sleep specialist, a naturopath, an acupuncturist to hop on and go, we're going to be presenting this information from these 4 different perspectives, and parents can join in and listen and ask questions and see if anything resonates with them and if there's something that they would like to try or want to know more about. So I think having a space for people to showcase their businesses is great, but we also want to educate and encourage families to learn more about what holistic health really means.
Yes, absolutely. And this is amazing. And thank you. Can I just really start by just really honouring you, Rose, and thanking you for providing this to the children. And yes, maybe it start Adelaide in Australia. We are global. And it's such an important aspect for the foundation of children's life. You know,
Absolutely.
so important. We don't realise, I think, there's a lot of people, but in generalization, this is a general thing, that we don't realise how important our health and our holistic care is as a young child to how much it affects us as adults.
The foundation is so important. It really is your setup for life.
It is.
And if we teach them the tools now, then our healthy children will develop into healthy adults.
Absolutely. Love Love that. Healthy children developing into healthy adults. So thank you. And I said really just to honor you and thank you. And
Thank you.
I'd love to know, Rose, in your whole experience, especially working with children, what is a challenge that you've seen children face that most adults just don't understand?
Oh, there's so many. Let's pick. I think nutrition to begin with is just really important. When I was working in one of the schools as a counselor, I remember kids were coming to school with bottles of Coke and soft drinks, and the canteen was offering it. And I thought, this has got to change, especially when I had families coming to me and their children may have been on the spectrum and they're going, oh, his behavior is out of control, but he's drinking a Coke. And I'll be like, maybe we should start there. Maybe we should look at the diet and see if we can start making a little bit of a difference. So at that school, I ended up overhauling the canteen and we pulled out all the junk and we started making food on site. And there was an uproar from staff. There was like, what are you doing? You're taking everything away. I have a right to this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome to bring it in. As an adult, you can do whatever you like. However, 2 weeks later, I remember getting an email from a staff member and saying, thank you so much. The change in the children since the soft drinks have been removed in the afternoon has just been so intense. They're so much calmer. They're not erratic. And I was like, wow, like that is amazing feedback that within 2 weeks, there's this massive change in how a child is presenting. And it's because I don't want to say remove, I don't want to remove things from people's lives, but I think we need to swap things over. One thing, I used to drink a can of Coke, not every day, but I used to open it and all day I'd sip on it, like just have a sip, and it would last me a whole day. I thought, this can't be good for me. So I swapped it to lemonade, and then I swapped the lemonade to fizzy water, and then I swapped the fizzy water to water. And now I don't drink soft drinks. Very rarely that I would have one. So I want to promote that just because you go, I need to be healthy, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, bang, we just stop doing everything that we're doing, because it's not sustainable. It's not something that we can actually put into place and achieve successfully. We need to start making small incremental steps towards a healthier lifestyle. And it's not just nutrition. When we're coming to emotional regulation and understanding our belief systems and our values and how they play into who we identify as, how we promote that to our children. We lead by example. They are following everything that we do at all times. And as adults, we go, oh my gosh, I'm just like my mum, or I'm just like my dad, because the character traits that we take on when we're young. So if we can lead by example and show how to behave in certain situations, if we have anger issues, and let's deal with those anger issues, so then we can show our children, okay, maybe that's not the best way to do it, but let's do it another way. And if you do have an outburst, that's okay, we're human. But then turning around to our children and saying, hey, that probably wasn't the best way to respond to that situation. I'm really sorry if I upset you. Let's talk it through. And just these small steps of identifying what is happening and then bringing a new way into how we respond, how we act, how we behave is a growth in itself. And it's showing our children that we are always working on ourselves and we want a better way of life and we want to be the best version of ourselves. So let's help our children do that.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. When we can be our best version, then we step up for our children as examples. So again, thank you. It must be really incredible, like the work that you do and to see the changes in children when you're able to put small other changes in place, but how it impacts children in their life. So it must be really incredible and really rewarding. So thank you.
Yeah, it is rewarding. When people come and say, I want my child to see you, it's not just the child, it's the family, because it's the family who's going to be leading the change at home. So we just provide steps. sustainable steps. And also, children are so intelligent and they're much closer to tuning into their subconscious than what we are. And if we give them those little tools and go, oh, that made you feel sad. Oh, what was it that made you feel sad? Oh, this happened. Why did that happen? Tell me what occurred. Oh, this happened. Oh, so you did this behavior and then it made you sad. Yes. Okay. So what if we didn't do that behavior? What would happen? Go the way that you want them to go. That's amazing. How are we going to implement that? And finding little strategies. And so, yeah, it is a lot of fun.
So, Rose, I said you live an amazing life, and I just really want to thank you. Now, you've been talking about children's emotions, and you've also mentioned something like about chakra clearing and things. I'd love to know, what do you believe is one of the biggest misconceptions about children's emotional needs, and how does it impact their whole growth?
I think that it's not taken seriously. Like, just because something isn't significant to us and we know that it's not a big issue, to a child it is. They're experiencing it for the first time. They need to learn from it. The reason why we believe it's insignificant or not a big deal is because we've experienced it. We've done it. We've gone through it. We know that we'll end up on the other side and it's all going to be okay. We can see the bigger picture. Whereas with children, it's immediate. What is happening right there, right then? That's what they're focused on. And we need to bring ourselves into their moment and bring that calmness to them rather than saying, it's going to be okay. You'll be fine. Off you go. It's okay. Tell me what's happening. Oh, you're crying. Let's sit down with them. Let's take some deep breaths. As we start breathing in and breathing out, they're going to regulate with us. If they're having a tantrum, it's no use us screaming at them and saying, stop it, because then you're just both screaming at one another and everything escalates. We need to lead by example. We need to show that we can maintain ourselves in that moment of stress and say, I'm here. You can meet me when you're ready. I'm not going anywhere. Here I am. Are you okay? What's happening for you? And just slow everything down and, yeah, meet them and welcome them into our space of harmony rather than contributing to the chaos that they're experiencing at that time.
And it's so important, isn't it? We see it everywhere. We see it all the time, where children are experiencing whatever it is and they're upset, they're traumatized in whatever way, but they get totally ignored by their caregivers or just brushed off because, as adults, I totally agree, we see that it's not actually a big thing, but for children, it is, and that can impact them their whole life.
Yeah, it's just having that respect for where they're at and knowing that we are their teachers and what we say influences them, especially in the first 7 years of life. That's where their values are established. That's where the foundation is set. So, yeah, being present and honoring their little versions of life.
Which is, again, so very important. You know, it's all versions of life. Doesn't matter if it's a 50-year-old version or a 5-year-old version. It is very important to that 5-year-old.
Yeah, we need to know that whether it's a 5-year-old or the 50-year-old version, it's always changing. Just because something is established at one point doesn't mean that it's the same at the next. Otherwise, we'll never have any growth. So, in order to accept that, yes, change is okay, just because I believe something now doesn't mean I need to believe it later. We can change that perception. And that means we grow into a better version. It's that continuous development that we're seeking and letting kids know that's okay. Just because you behaved this way at this moment doesn't mean you can't change that and make a different decision next time. Yeah.
And what is something that you wish that all educators, all teachers in all different levels, and also caregivers knew about the development of children that would change the way that they interact with children?
That you are absolutely okay exactly as you are, that we really need to honor the body that we are in and respect it. There's so much out there. I called it, back when I was working in an all boys school, I called it the Kardashian event. I've never watched an episode, but you could see what was happening. Boys were saying, oh no, the girls have to wax their arms because otherwise you can't have hair on your arms. That's just weird. Or having relationships and never having met one another because all of a sudden, what was that thing before Facebook? Something, there was another platform where people used to talk and they'd have relationships online and then they'd meet in person and there was nothing there. And they were like, oh no, I don't like this person. Yes. Have you heard of pheromones or having that connection with somebody, the heart connection? You know, there's something there about being in person and feeling that energy and knowing. This is what I use with children a lot. You know, when you're sitting down and you feel like someone's looking at you and you're like, you know, who's looking at me? And you sense it. It's like, how do you sense that? How do you know somebody's looking at you? You feel that energy, you know, so where is that coming from? How do you acknowledge it? That's your subconscious mind going, hello, danger or excitement. And it's really tuning in and listening to that and not ignoring your gut, that mind-body connection. So yeah, just having an understanding of that, learning it and not dismissing it. If a child, I used to get teachers will send children in, go, oh, they're misbehaving, they're being terrible in class. And then I'd sit down with the child and they're just gorgeous. But you find out mum and dad are fighting at home. So there's always something happening in the background that's going to determine the behavior that we're presenting. So how do we acknowledge that and bring that in and go, okay, they're not just a child, they're an emotion and they're screaming out for you for assistance. We need to bring them back into balance. And the way we can do that is to talk and to understand. And so, okay, I understand this is happening in your life and putting in some boundaries and putting in some supports and going, how can we best assist you through this time? And then you'll notice a huge shift because they now released what was on their minds and what they were holding on to physically. And then we want to let all of that go and shake that off and go, okay, we're here, we got you, we'll be your support net. Yeah, come when you need us, we'll be here for you.
An amazing world when that happens. You know, when adults are really truly there for children, especially those who are struggling. And are there any signs that a child is really struggling but silently?
So I think community involvement is really important when you're working with children. You ask the systems questions. Who's your family? Who are your friends? Where do you go to school? Are there any co-curricular activities that you're involved in? Do you learn anything like a language or music? What do you participate in? I think that is really important. If you've got a child who goes, no, I don't do any sport, no, I don't hang out with my friends, no, then any one of those, something's out of balance. And you're going, okay, how do we ensure that all aspects of your life are aligned and that we're not too focused on one, which then means that we're ignoring the others because they all need to, once again, balance each other out. We need to find that. Otherwise, same as adults, if we're working continuously, then we're out of balance because we're not taking time for ourselves. We need to find that middle ground and go, yes, I have been working a lot, but I'm going to take 2 days off and I'm going to go to the beach or spend time with my family, wherever it is that you need to bring your attention to.
Finding that balance is so important. So very important, especially for children. And how do you, Rose, approach balancing structure when we have to get things done to the freedom of being and taking care of ourselves when you're guiding children in healing, or not just healing, with experiencing their emotions?
Oh, I think that falls once again the mind, body, spirit realm in terms of we've got to see what's happening. I have 3 sons. One of my boys is highly emotional, and something would happen, which once again we know that he can get through, but he would replay and replay, and he'd get stuck in his head and be traumatized by something that didn't need to escalate to that level. And so what was happening with you? Why are you going into this state where you're just so overwhelmed and there's just no calm to it? We ended up looking at nutrition and went to go see someone and took him off all dairy. And the change in him has been astounding. There was an incident that happened at school yesterday, and normally it was a small thing. Normally that will play on his mind and he wouldn't be able to get to sleep and he'd be up to all hours and he'd be very emotional. Didn't faze him. He went, yeah, okay, because he was calm. The removing the dairy from his body calmed his system because it was agitating it. And he can see that. And he's very aware of it now. He's 12. For him to go, look at the difference in how I am. He's now physically healthier, emotionally healthier. And so I think it's different for everybody. We just need to find what is out, which is why bringing all these providers together is so important, because there are so many different modalities. We just need to figure out what resonates with us. What are we attracted to? You hear something, you hear something 3 times, you go, I got to look into it because that sounds really interesting. I did some contract work as well as a counselor. So obviously I'm not attracting the clients who would normally come to me. I'm going into a space where there's clients waiting for me. And I remember saying to one client, oh yeah, you've been talking about this arm for a while. Have you tried acupuncture? And they said, try what? I was like, oh, wow. You forget that just because we're in this environment doesn't mean everybody is. And that I suppose that was my push, where I really went, we really need to get holistic kids up, because we should know about all these different things that are available to us. Otherwise, we're missing out. I really feel like we're missing out. Our children are missing out, where you can go to someone and they can do something that's so gentle and it can make such a big impact on your life. So that's why whole focus is, let's change a generation.
Yes.
Let's do that. Let's teach them. They will bring the tools on. They will be better versions of themselves. Then they can pass that on. And as we go, we can change and we can make a big difference.
And I can really see your mission and your vision coming out, is that by having healthier children in a holistic way, as they grow up, become adults, and pass their knowledge and their wisdom and their experience down to their children, the world is going to be such a better place. So watch out, world, here comes Rose and the holistic.
It's a big task, but you got to start somewhere, right? And I think if we can start here in Australia and see how we go.
But that's it, because it's such a ripple effect. So again, congratulations, and I'd like to honour you.
Thank you.
And you're talking about bringing together with people with all different modalities, but you yourself, Rose, have expert in a lot of modalities, holistic healing modalities, and you have mentioned chakras before. But how do all these different approaches complement each other in working with children in today's world?
Yeah. How do the modalities complement one another? Okay, so I'll go back to the bedwetting. If we've got a child who's 12 years old and still wetting the bed, obviously there's an emotional trauma there, right? So I was speaking to one of our providers at HypnoPlace, and she works a lot with children. And what was her story? She was telling me about how a child was wetting the bed, but only when dad got home, right? Because dad did shift work. So he would go to bed and not see dad. And in the middle of the night, he would wet the bed, and dad will be the one who would get up and change the sheets, etc., and tuck him back. And it was established that he wanted to say goodnight to his dad, right? He missed him. So they put in a different practice, and they started Skyping dad before bed so that he could say goodnight and have a little chat, and he stopped wetting the bed. Right? Such a simple story, such a slight change, but it made a world of difference. His emotional need was fulfilled, And then he released that physical need for attention. And yeah, everything was changed.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, absolutely. It's finding, yeah, what the missing link is.
Okay. And what about the other modalities that you practice? You do hypnotherapy and Reiki and yoga. So how does that help? Or how does that all tie in with helping children in their holistic health?
I think I bring everything together. I take bits and pieces from everything that I learn. I don't think there's one way. So it depends on what the child has come in for. And if you can see they're agitated, then let's just calm down. Playing games is massive. We got snakes and ladders and, the tower game. And that's about concentration and winning and losing. How do we go in those situations? So it really depends on the child as to what is happening. Kids yoga is a lot of fun in terms of it's storytelling, especially the littler they are. You go on a little journey and move your bodies and yeah, find what stories we can tell and always leave them with a positive thought and about loving themselves. This to me, values are so important. Like you said before, foundation. So I think if we set an amazing foundation for our children, learning about the values, where they sit in the universe, respecting their bodies, being able to understand their emotions and know that they can make changes to make themselves feel better. This is about responsibility. Mum and dad and family and friends are always here to support you, but how do you manage yourself? And they can learn that from a very young age. You want A, okay, what do you have to get A? Oh, you don't like B, what are we going to do to push that one away and go, okay, we're not going to use that again. That's a life experience. I've been doing this for a very long time, but I'm actually putting that on hold at the moment because developing holistic kids has been a full-time job. Like I said, I just stopped practicing at the end of last year so that I could focus on creating this. And I am not a tech savvy person at all. I need help using the phone. Like seriously, do not have the mind capacity for technology. It's not my strength in any way. But I had this idea and I know how I wanted it to be put together. I know what I wanted it to look like. So I've had to go out and source people who do have this as their superpower. And they've been able to assist me to put it together and create a space that hopefully is going to be helping a lot of families.
I'm sure it will be. In fact, yes, definitely. And I'm really looking forward to it. And for everyone who is watching or listening, do click on those links below and check out the website for the Holistic Kids that Rose is currently developing, but very soon it will be launched. So it will be out by the time people are watching this podcast. So do check it out. And it's such a great thing that you're doing, Rose. It really is.
Thank you.
I'd love to know, just talking of technology, if I can ask, because we live in a world today, that it's full of screens and stimulation and everything. Life for children has changed so much. And you said you've been working with children for quite a while. How does technology really affect children in your experience, especially being able to regulate their emotions? And what can we as caregivers really do about it?
I think I'm from a generation, I was in that beautiful generation where I grew up without technology, but I think I was 19 when I first got my phone, my first little Nokia, right? I don't have an understanding of the significance it has. I can only go by how it has affected my children. Now, I recall, my eldest is 18 now, but I recall a few years back, there was an incident. So we removed his phone from him. And I didn't have an understanding of the actual impact that would have on him because I didn't need the phone. I didn't grow up with it as my main source of communication. So by removing the phone from him, and it was for quite a while, we put in this consequence. We just saw him get quieter and quieter. And it makes me teary thinking about it, right? Because I was like, what's happening? And there was a lot of discussion around that. And I remember he was just so sad. And I brought him to school and I said to my husband, he's just so sad. It's just making me so sad. And he's like, go pick him up, just go grab him. And it does make me teary just thinking about it. And so I went, yeah. So I went back to the school. I took him out, brought his bathers, went down to Glenelg, and we spent the day together in the water, just swimming, had lunch, walked down the main road there. And we just spent the day together and talked. And I really listened to him about the significance of technology for him. And I was like, I would never do that again. I would never take the phone from my child like that again, because that is their means of communication. They communicate very differently to how we do. Our children are not comfortable talking on a phone because they don't do it. I help my children practice that because it's not their first thing. They snap, they message, they know where all their friends are. I don't like that, but that is their now reality. I'm behind. I don't agree with it, but we have to find a middle ground because this is there now. We are far beyond that. Of my age, and far beyond that. It's not what I grew up in, but I need to find how I can manage it in a way that meets their level of existence now. Like, I don't know how to explain it in terms of this is their reality and I need to meet it. We just need to be able to put in parameters to safeguard our children. There's bullying, whether it's online or in person. How do we as people deal with that? So once again, I think it comes back to us as individuals. We need to honor ourselves. We need to know that we have open communication and great relationships with our families. We talk openly about everything in our home because I want my children to talk to me about anything. I'll talk to them about girls, I'll talk to them, whatever it is, about relationships, and they know they can call us at any time. I don't care if you've gone out and you've tried alcohol, right? If you have and you've made a choice that wasn't in your own benefit, you need to call me. I will be there to support you. I'm your first port of call. Yes, there will be a consequence, but the main thing is that you are safe, that you are the most amazing thing in my life. So I want to make sure that you are protected at all times. And my job is to be there for you. And if you don't allow me to be there for you, I feel like I have failed as a mother, right? What have I done to not make you trust me? So trust me, allow me to be that person for you. And yeah, we have the most important role in life and wouldn't change it for anything.
And it makes it so important to be aware of today. Children are growing up very different from what they did even 10 years ago, 20
Yeah.
years ago. And I remember when the first phone came out and I wouldn't have one.
Yeah.
I don't need this. And now I have two sitting plus numerous gadgets. And we don't realize how much that they've become a part of people's lives. And yes, you take them away, it's like taking away your voice
Yep.
or your hands.
Yep.
Your hands, if you take away their phone, because it's their so yes.
It's a part of their identity. And I can't resonate with that. I don't understand that, but I need to acknowledge it in order to have that positive relationship with my children and to have that trust and go, okay, I get it. This is important to you. How do we work together around this? Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that and for pointing out how important it is to listen to the children, And before we wrap up, Rose, I have a couple other questions and I'd love to get your experience from being a caregiver especially in the holistic world field and also working in schools. So if you had a chance to completely redesign today's school system to support, to be able to better support children's holistic health, you know, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, what changes would you make?
Oh my goodness, this needs a whole nother interview, I think. I think the education system needs a big overhaul. I've discussed this with the IPA, the Institute of Public Affairs. I had a beautiful chat with Colleen Harkin. Colleen is all about looking at the curriculum. I think there's a lot in there that does not need to be in there. I think we need to get back to basics, spelling, maths, life skills, how to tend to a garden, how to change a tire, basic things, how to cook, how to look after ourselves. I think it needs to be more in nature instead of blocked into these walls. I think older children should start later because we know that developmentally, when they start hitting those teenage years, they do need more sleep. That's why our teenagers sleep in all the time. It's a developmental stage. Where to begin? I would also like to see politics brought into schools. I think that's very important. I think there's a lot brought in that our children don't need to know about. For example, no child knows about racism, right? Racism isn't a concept for a child. They play with who they want to play with because they like the person. It's when we introduce the concept that they go, huh, didn't even know that was a thing. But okay, apparently Black people don't like white people or whatever stereotype there is. That was not part of their existence until we introduced it. So why are we introducing it? That doesn't make sense to me. So with all the DEI concepts, etc., I think we need to be very careful about what we're introducing at what developmental stage that they're in. For example, children at the age of 12 have a sense of belonging. This is where they really start to figure out who they sit with. Who are my friends? Who am I as a person? So you'll start to see them experiment, whether it's putting on dark makeup or wearing a shorter skirt or getting piercings, whatever it is, they start to find their little niche. Who am I? I think we need to be very careful about what we introduce at this stage. We need to allow our children to experiment safely with boundaries and figure out who they are and where they fit without instilling long-term outcomes. Basically, we want our children to respect themselves and love themselves and go off and try and figure out who they are, but we do not want to pour in beliefs or perspectives that will be lifelong and will have lifelong consequences. This is why children can't get piercings till a certain age. This is why children can't drive a car or drink alcohol. We have set boundaries. Boundaries are so important. Being holistic doesn't mean that we're going out to running free in the wild and doing whatever we want. No, it means that we need to honor where we are right now, work with what we have, and see how we can make the best of that situation.
Thank you so very much for sharing that. And it's a huge challenge and responsibility bringing children up in this world. And I'm not a mother. I made a choice when I was 13 never to have children because I have a genetic condition and I didn't want it passed on. Because talking about emotions, emotional bullying or it affects us our whole entire life. And I made a choice never ever to put anyone else through that. But for people who do have children, I have so much respect for them because it is a lifelong journey. Yeah, and it's so difficult, especially in today's world, with all the different changes that are happening so very quickly. So thank you. So before we wrap up, let's talk about again the holistic wellness, the children's website. You're wanting to bring people together who offer holistic practices for children. Now, is this in person or this can be online?
It's all online. So
Online.
basically, we're creating a one-stop shop. So we don't need to rely on word of mouth anymore. It's thinkrealestate.com. It's that concept. So I can go on and I know that you can search within certain categories. So we got cognitive, emotional, parenting, social, body, mind, and spirit, nourishment, and products. So you can search within those topics. If you go, my child I know that they need some physical assistance because they're limping or something. You can click on that and then you put in your postcode. And people who assist with physical needs in your area will be visible. So they could be acupuncturists, Bowen therapists, kinesiologists, depending on what it is that you require, they will come up. If you're saying that my child needs emotional needs, then what will come up is EFT, counseling, color therapy, depending on what is available in your area. Body, mind, and spirit, we're looking at yoga, Reiki, meditation, homeopathy. Nourishment, Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, naturopathy. So there's all these different modalities within these categories. A lot of the providers offer multiple things, so they'll pop up in a lot of different categories. So we want you to be able to go on, select a category. These beautiful providers will pop up who's available in your area. So we are at the stage now where it's ready. And we're now inviting providers to join us. It is a membership fee for providers, and it's absolutely free for anybody to have a look at and to use. So yeah, we're offering yearly or memberships. And we have 3 memberships. The first one is a whole $99 per year, and that's for your listing. And that is everything about you. Nothing is stored on the website. Everything goes back to yours. We link everything back to you. All right. It's not about what we get out of it. It's about ensuring that people know you exist so that they can find you and thrive and help their children. And then we've got the middle tier, and that's $539 per year. And that allows you to upload videos, podcasts, articles. There's a whole lot that you can incorporate onto the platform. You basically get your own little mini website within the website. So everyone gets an e-badge as well. So if you don't have a website, because I know there's a lot of mums out there who are Bowen therapists, but they do it on the side outside of their full-time job because they want it to be their new role, but they've got to start somewhere. So I think it's really good for those people as well, where they get the e-badge and they can add it to their email. And when you click on it, it takes you straight to their listing, which is on our website. So it's our own mini website.
Yes.
Everyone gets a Canva frame to promote yourself. We got posters, you can see one behind me, to say that I'm a proud holistic kids provider. What else have we got? E-badge. Yeah, and we got a referral program as well. So as a provider who's with us, if I want this to grow organically, right? People find like-minded people. So if you are a provider with us, you go, I know another 4 people who really suit this, and you refer them and they join, you get $25 credit for each person who joins or each business that joins. So at the end, you could have a $100 credit and you can put that towards your next membership, or you could put that towards any other website offers that we have, which we will introduce. At the moment, it's more onboarding people and getting them to join us, join our community, be part of the movement where if you see the Holistic Kids sign, that you are part of this community and we are here for body, mind, and spirit to nurture our children in every way. And yeah, we have the same values and principles, and we want our children to have a better life.
Yes, so do we all. And Sacred You is definitely with you, and we'll do what we can to promote it as well.
Thank you so much.
So let's see what we can do. I'm really looking forward to being able to see it and everything when it comes out, and we'll certainly be introducing it to many other people as well. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
is there any other question that I could have asked you? And how would you answer? Is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I just think everything happens for a reason at the right time that it's meant to happen. And we just got to go with the flow, put our energy where we want it to go, have faith in your abilities. This terrifies me, let's be honest, right off. I've gone into a very different area, but I love community development. I love teaching. I love educating, and I feel this draws it all together. And yeah, let's see what happens, and let's see what changes we can make and offer this gateway to holistic health.
So looking forward to it. Thank you, Rose, ever so much for joining us today on the Pathways to Wellbeing. And for everyone who is watching or listening, again, do click on those links. Check out the website for the Holistic Health for Kids, for Children, because as you said, Rose, they really are the foundation to life. And this is helping them to set out on their journey in the most positive and powerful way, when they're completely healthy in a holistic way.
Yeah, beautiful.
Rose Irranca's final thoughts truly encapsulate the essence of today's conversation. Have faith in your abilities. Everything happens for a reason at the right time that it's meant to happen. Her honesty and courage reminds us that even when stepping into the unknown, purpose and passion can guide us. Now, if today's discussion did spark something in you, take it as a sign to explore further. Be sure to check out Holistic Kids, Rose's incredible online platform connecting families with holistic practitioners across the emotional, the physical, and spiritual domains. All the links are below. At Sacred You, we are committed to creating a space where women from all over the world can support, uplift, and empower each other. Visit our website to explore all our upcoming workshops, events, and community offerings. Check us out at www.sacredu, that's the letter U, .love. And as always, please subscribe to our podcast, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. Your journey to nurturing the next generation starts with awareness, love, and trust. Trust yourself, honor your path, and take that next small step. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep walking your pathway to well-being.